This is the Philanthropy Show, connecting and inspiring philanthropy.
Welcome to the Philanthropy Show. I'm your host, Luann Saraga Walters. It is wonderful to be able to travel around the country, and we didn't have to go very far for this wonderful on-location shoot of the Philanthropy Show. But this is a very special show because we're talking about something from a fundamental standpoint, early childhood education, specifically grade level reading, and what is happening with our children today and getting prepared to do what they need to do to get into middle school, to get into high school, go on to college, to become full citizens in the country, able to do things that they want to do. We know that it's important to parents, it's important to the community, and so this grade level initiative program started nationally, but now here locally in Sarasota and Manatee counties, it has really taken hold, and I want to thank my guests for joining us today, for talking about it. I'm going to introduce you first, and then we're going to dive right into this. It's a very important spotlight on grade level reading that we're doing for the show today. So, Roxie, I'm going to start with you. Roxie Jerde is the president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Sarasota County, and you are our host for this wonderful event. We've set our setup here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
Wonderful to have you on. And Beth Duda, who is the lead consultant for the Suncoast Campaign for grade level reading.
That's right.
And you've got an interesting tie because you're also familiar in a great way with the national aspects, what's going on with the Patterson Foundation's contribution and how they're leading us through this, which is wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And Mary Zigman with Girls Inc., who you're at the ground level, doing the work, putting it to there, working with the youngsters, the girls, to really see that educational difference when they have summer programs available versus when they don't, which is kind of where that starts. So I do want to start at the beginning. What is the current need, and what is the grade level reading project?
Well, the Campaign for Grade Level Reading started with the Annie E. Casey Foundation in Baltimore, and it is really focused on the very real fact that students are not reading proficiently by the end of third grade. Regionally, 40% of the kids in Sarasota and Manatee County are unable to read proficiently by the end of third grade. So this campaign is structured to give assistance to families, to students, to address key problems that those families have and to put things in place to change those numbers. So
43%.
Over 40%.
Over 40% at grade 3. So what does that do? What kind of a problem does that lead to with children who can't read proficiently? And by proficiently, I'm guessing that they're not passing certain grade level standards that we benchmarks. Okay.
So you learn to read from 0 to third grade. After third grade, you're expected to be able to read to learn. Okay. So if students aren't meeting that proficiency mark by third grade, they struggle in their ongoing years. So it's a key indicator. If the students are not reading at grade level by the end of third grade, they're 4 times more likely not to graduate high school. There are all kinds of statistics proving that this is a very important milestone. So now over 200 communities throughout the United States have banded together, and we are all working on addressing the key issues to make sure that our kids can read at grade level by the end of third grade.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and the Community Foundation of Sarasota County is playing a big part in coming together as that, because I think you have, 6 or 7 organizations, including school districts, Sarasota and Manatee, and a variety, the Patterson Foundation, different organizations that are together. Roxie, why is this an important community initiative?
Well, it's really pivotal for us in Sarasota County, and as Beth has said, what's marvelous, we're all part of the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading. We are the lead, if you will, for Sarasota County, and we're put through the paces to be accepted into the campaign. We have to do a community solutions action plan. It's pulling together our partners. How are we going to address the 3 key areas that they've identified that are real barriers for children being successful at that third grade point? Many of these children are low-income children. They're going to schools that are with very high free and reduced lunch. So what we love about the campaign, they've done research, they really understand what the key issues are. So it's, are kids ready to learn when they start school? There is something called summer learning loss or a summer slide, and attendance during the school year, as well as ensuring there's parental involvement. So it's really helped us narrow our focus on, if we can work on those three areas, that's going to increase the chances that we're going to get more kids reading at grade level. In Sarasota County, 30% of our kids are not reading at the grade level that they need to be at to be successful. Beth has gotten it exactly right and what the challenge is. So we are fortunate here. We have a donor who passed away, and we're overseeing their legacy, who cared deeply about education. So we're being able to fund a lot of this with our great partners to move this forward, and have brought a lot of others into the fold here to be partners. To, when people understand what this means in a life, it's like, how can we stand for this? We've got to give every child these opportunities to be successful.
Do you know what strikes me about this too? And Mary, I want to come to you. Is that when we think of, I think a lot of times when we think of literacy and illiteracy, we think of you can read or you can't read. But proficiency is about being able to comprehend, to be able to really understand. You may be able to read, but not enough to fully advance through your life. What do you see, and what have you seen? Like Roxie mentioned, the summer slump, or Beth did, of not being able to get through, or from the girls that you've worked with, and how that impacts them by not having year-round or the program prior.
I think what you said earlier is interesting. Literacy is your ability to participate in the social dialogue. So for kids, it's not just decoding, it's not just comprehending what you're reading, it's participating in society. That's what it leads to, I think. At Girls Inc., we were able to partner with the Community Foundation of Sarasota, and when we began the summer program, approximately 59% of our kids were not reading on grade level. 100% of our children come from Title I schools. They are schools that are free, 99% of the kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. By the end of our summer program, 19% of our kids were not meeting grade level. So there was a 40%
Extraordinary.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was very exciting. And I think that we did implement a little bit alternative paradigm in approaching kids. So we looked at multiple factors. We partnered extensively with parents. So our parents were a critical part of the success of our program. And then we also took attendance very seriously. We took the health of the child. We were able to, a lot of times children are expected to bend to the program. We bent our program to our children to meet them exactly where they were emotionally.
I love that.
And then there was a food component. We fed everybody, and we all came together. So the outcomes were incredible. I could talk to you more about summer reading slide. There was no summer reading slide at Girls Inc. this summer for every single girl that was involved in our program.
That's fantastic. Wow. Well, we have to take our first break, but when we come back, I want to really kind of dive a little bit further into what does that look like then? Here we've had this need, which I don't think a lot of people even knew. You know, community-wide, nationwide, this is going on in different communities too. So what did it look like to actually implement this program? How did you guys all come together? We're talking about a lot of organizations that are working together in this collaboration, you know, and across county, and then from that national aspect as well. So we're going to take a quick break with the Philanthropy Show, but we'll be right back after this.
This show sponsored in part by
the Community Foundation of Sarasota County. We've taken the show on the road, and we would like to thank our studio sponsor, the Nonprofit Leadership Center of Tampa Bay, which really makes all of the shows that we shoot in Tampa Bay possible. Thank you so much. You know, on the road, we are learning such amazing and incredible things about all of the amazing work that's being done in the nonprofit communities throughout the state of Florida and beyond, and we would love to come to you. We have sponsorship opportunities available, which would help us produce 4 shows about your nonprofit community. Really essential, that would help educate, uplift, and empower other nonprofit staff, board members, and donors. So contact us today, and we could be driving the Philanthropy Show into your community tomorrow. Welcome back to the Philanthropy Show. This is our spotlight on grade level reading, which is a national program, project, campaign going on, but here locally in Sarasota, Manatee counties in Florida, as well as I think you said 200 other
Other
regions
communities throughout the
nationwide,
United States.
jumping in full collaboration. And I right before the break, we were talking about how many organizations are involved, double counties, and also you had mentioned, I think all three of you, parents and children included in this aspect. So talk to me about that. This is not just about helping children learn to read.
That's right. Well, the Community Foundation is working with the Aspen Institute on a 2-generational approach that you can speak about.
Well, it's really been exciting for us to really look through the lens of the campaign is where we started, and then we really realized as we worked with the Aspen Institute Ascend program, if we can move both parents and children together to economic security through educational success, that family will really flourish. And to try to do it with just the kids and not bringing parents who care deeply that their kids are successful and they all want a better life. So we're providing educational opportunities for parents to get to better paying jobs. But we've learned if they do it together and almost like a cohort group, they support each other, they understand each other's lives, that really has attributed to success.
So the parents have kind of a support group.
Yeah.
Mary
with
can
that.
really speak to that and
Wow.
how she really got on this bandwagon. When you look at it through this lens, you're just kind of like, well, of course we need to do it this way.
Yeah, when John asked me to consider including the 2-gen approach, at first I was like, sure,
Tell me who John is.
John Ennis is he's with the
John.
Community
Senior Vice President here.
Community Foundation.
Yes.
So I presented him with the proposal of the grant, and then he talked about this component. When we initially had the parent meetings, it was a little awkward. People were in their own place. By the time we finished, there was an incredible sense of camaraderie. One of the critical moves I think that we made, my background is in anthropology, so I look at the relevancy of cultural capital, how organizations perceive parents, and then how that impacts how they perceive themselves.
Yeah.
So a lot of our parents work until 6, 7 o'clock at night, and we offered our meetings later in the evening, and we provided childcare. And then we discussed the summer reading slide, we discussed the national achievement gap. And I said, your kid is in that gap. You need to know this, because I know that they all want good things for their children.
Yep.
And then we were able to, together as a group, come up with strategies for how they can advocate for their children, how they can participate. So one of the
What does that look like?
Well, if I could simply put, the children were receiving literacy lessons during the day for 2 hours every day. We tricked them into, they're like, this is camp. I didn't know I was doing, because they loved it so much.
You made it fun.
It was so much fun.
Awesome.
So
It was, I saw it.
the parents, they got the same exact literacy lesson. I wasn't trying to make the parents literate. I was trying to share with them what the girls were learning during the day, because they come home from school or from Girls Inc. and the parents will say, what did you learn today? Nothing, right? So the parents knew what they learned, and they were able to participate in that language. They had the vocabulary and the schema of reading comprehension, and that was the strategy for them. They would go home and have conversations about reading.
You gave them the ability as a family unit to be a team
Yes.
in their child's education,
Absolutely.
as opposed to the child goes away and comes back and they
And you don't know
kind
what they
of feel like,
did.
Right.
like
Yes.
there's a separation, a natural separation that we have, but you bridge that gap.
And for
What a
some
brilliant
cultures,
idea.
it's not acceptable to approach the school. So we gave parents strategies for, if you have a concern with your child at school, what do you do? And they were able to practice that at Girls Inc. So when they had concerns, they would come and talk to me about it. And then another component also was that we were able to extend our services for what are the life needs that you have. What's going on in your life today that you need help with? How can we support you as an organization?
Well, I really think that's a big component, and you, Beth, you can probably speak to this too from what's going on nationally, that different shows that we've done, we have looked at how the whole child, the holistic child, the child and the family are also being seen for any kind of educational project or whatnot. And is that how do I phrase that? Is that something that you're seeing become more and more part of the initiative nationally?
Absolutely.
And are like Mary's
Yes.
initiatives and the community foundations
As
being brought up
Roxie
into
mentioned, parent engagement is part of all the tenets in the campaign, and the health of the child, which includes the health of the family. We can't expect the school system and 6 hours a day for 8 months out of the year to be able to address all the needs of the child. So the campaign is looking at getting many sectors involved. What can businesses do? What can faith-based organizations do? How can we include the Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., the YMCA camps, and give them the tools they need to help us support our kids. Certainly the foundations, the Patterson Foundation, the Community Foundation, the Manatee Community Foundation, United Way Manatee, USF, Sarasota Manatee, we've all come together saying, this is unacceptable, and what can we do together to change it? And there are wonderful programs that have been happening in both Sarasota and Manatee County, and still we have 40% of the kids
separately. But now this is an initiative that's bringing everybody together.
Yes, and that's the most important thing. We are weaving the net to catch these kids. So we're all banding together and finding out what are the strengths of this organization, what has worked. I mean, Mary, with the terrific success she had over the summer, how can we model some of that in other camps and other organizations? The Community Foundation funded a Bridges to Kindergarten program for preschoolers who were not testing to be ready for kindergarten, and gave them the intensive help they needed so that they are starting kindergarten ready to learn.
So back me up just a little bit, because I'm probably not the only one wondering this. How did this begin? How did we catch this problem? I mean, how did we figure it out, I guess, as a nation? Do we know when did the grade level reading program start?
Well, my understanding is that it came out of a concern with the wide gap between the haves and the have-nots in the country, and knowing that poverty and people who are struggling, income-struggling families don't have everything they need to propel their next generation to success. And when looking at what are the things where we can truly move the needle, this is something where we can truly move the needle. We can make a difference in the reading proficiency.
I love what you
said
said in the first segment, that you learn to read up to grade 3, and you read to learn following that.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense in what we do. And it seems so simple, but I had never thought of it that way.
Well, and the lower income families, statistically, a 3-year-old hears 30 million less words by the time they are 3 than a moderate income or a high income family. We can do things to address that. Children, currently we have 10% of kids between our 2 counties that are chronically absent, meaning they miss more than 10% of the school year. We can change that. And so we're looking at where can we move the needle to make a difference in this critical issue. And by banding together and putting together everyone's strengths and making it a community movement. It's not owned by any one of us. It's a community movement saying our children deserve better. And we have the wherewithal.
There's the village, right?
There's
the village. So we're going to take a quick break because it's time for a second one. But when we come back, I want to talk more about that. What are the things that, where do we go from here? And how long is this campaign estimated? And really get into the juicy stuff. Plus, our key segment, which is Truth or Care. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Follow the Philanthropy Show on Facebook for behind-the-scenes action, polls, and commentary. This show sponsored in part by
our studio sponsor, the Nonprofit Leadership Center of Tampa Bay, and My Paper Pusher. Consider it done.
I'm Samantha Abraham with My Paper Pusher with your financial tip of the week. What types of records do you need to substantiate your income and expenses? Both information in your accounting system and supporting documentation will do the trick. For income, a public charity needs to keep records for all the amounts received from all sources and keep separately all unrelated business income records. Keep documents to show the amount and source of the funds, such as donor correspondence, pledge documents, cash register tapes, bank deposit slips, receipt books, invoices, credit card charge slips, and Form 1099s. For purchases relating to any inventory, Make sure to account for the cost of raw materials and show the amount paid and what was purchased with documents such as canceled checks, credit card slips, purchase orders, and bills. This will also help determine the value of inventory at the end of the year. For all other expenses, documents should show the amount paid and the purpose of the expense. Keep records like canceled checks, contracts, account statements, bills, receipts, and petty cash slips. If these supporting documents are coded based on the chart of accounts, it makes it easier to see the purpose of the income and expenses. Next time, find out how to document your assets and liabilities. I'm Samantha Abraham with My Paper Pusher, where you can consider it done.
Welcome back to the Philanthropy Show, looking at a really big issue today, grade level reading, and how we can change the process, I guess, and give tools to the families, not just the children, but the families. And going on right here in Sarasota and Manatee counties, reflecting and a little bit of a change from the national standard. I think of the 200 communities that are doing it, there's probably a different approach being taken or tested or tried.
Absolutely.
In each of them.
Right.
And that's one of the wonderful things about the campaign is that we are able to learn from each other. We share between communities. The Patterson Foundation is one of the co-leads at a national level, and it's put together a platform so we can share our successes with other communities. And we're all working for proof points right now. Programs that are showing a difference, like the program that Mary ran this summer. We can share that with the other communities and say, this is what it took, these are the results that we were able to get, and this is how we think it is scalable, so we can reach more children. And you've had a wonderful success with Alta Vista Eagle Academy.
Oh my goodness.
And
Tell me about that.
Alta Vista is a Title I school, 95.8% kids free and reduced lunch. 4 years ago, we had some donors that funded the incoming kindergartners, getting them ready to learn. Got 60 out of about 100. They tested very well, and we're committed. Let's bring the next incoming kindergartners. We had rising first graders. This summer, year 4, 350 kids, started with 60. Their reading tests that they take, they've gone from 53% reading at grade level to 73%.
Wow.
Wow. It's over these 4 years,
Okay,
but they
still,
basically have been going to year-round school, and we have Parent University. The parents, this is all free for their children, and there's after-school care. They're doing experiential learning through EdExplore, another Patterson program that's phenomenal. But what's great is the parents are also doing Parent University, which they have to go to because their children are getting this experience for free. But the parents come up with the curriculum. What do they want to learn? Guess what? They're bringing their neighbors now because it's turning into be, they're learning, it's a high Latino, English as a second language. We don't have everyone has GEDs. We've gotten them on the path for GED trainings, budgeting. How do I help my child learn what Mary was describing? How do I talk to them about what they learned today? So by their coming up with the curriculum, we've got this parent piece as well. We've also outfitted a classroom for certified nurse assistants training. So we are just graduated our 4th class of certified nurse assistants, single moms from the school.
Oh, that's great.
They go to school with their child. These are all examples, though, of deep.
Well, you're connecting, okay, like we were talking about in the last segment, you're connecting the families because the parents are involved in their children's education, but you're also empowering the parents in what they're able to do and empowering the kid. I love the whole aspect of that. What
Well,
were you
it's
gonna say,
important.
Beth?
That's what they learn. Well, the Alta Vista program, the success of that program has allowed the school system to commit dollars for next summer to replicate that in 3 other schools. So that is a true testament to the campaign, how we can take success and share that success and truly make a difference within the region. And with our region being successful, take that story national and make a difference.
Go ahead.
Sorry, one of the things that you mentioned was empowering the child. And so one of the hallmarks of our program was we didn't focus so much on cognition, which some say is fixed in time. We focused more on executive functioning, the ability of a child to take ownership of her leadership and to make decisions, ownership of her learning and to make decisions for her learning and to be responsible for her learning instead of a teacher pouring information into her brain. The hallmark of our program was that the girls owned their learning and they made
That's
decisions.
that's initiative. I love it. Yes, because you're teaching them how to teach themselves or to learn in different situations. That initiative approach, as opposed to I'm just going to memorize it and put it back out there.
Right.
That's a skill they'll take with their life
Forever.
Yes.
And
Learning
now
how to
their
think.
identity is changing. They're raising their hands. When they go back to school, that's going to be with them. They're going to raise their hands. They're going to ask questions and advocate for themselves. They've learned some of these skills.
You guys have got to be excited about this because this is exciting
Well,
stuff.
and one thing that's, I think, exciting, while we were doing this work at Alta Vista, not every school was doing it. So we wanted to reach the kids, and we thought, what's an alternative way? We don't have to do this in the schools. Girls Inc. Boys and Girls Club. So we
Sure.
showed alternative delivery methods, if you will, through the summer, that it wasn't all the schools. It
Again,
can be
you're
a
getting out
community
there.
solution.
Right. And it has to be a community
And people
solution.
want
Say
different
that
options.
Well,
a
it's an
community
example of a
solution.
community solution.
Right.
It
I love
wasn't
it.
just the schools. It was being creative
Yeah.
about other ways to reach the children
Yeah.
and the parents with really terrific partners. So we've gone deeper with 4 schools on proof points. What's happening in Manatee is more of a wide approach on some of the things that they're
Absolutely.
doing.
Focused on
Attendance.
attendance this year. We have a poster contest going on with both school districts that are working in collaboration.
It's really fun.
It's really great. Just kicked off, and we'll be having every elementary school student create a poster on why attending school every day is important.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's
So how long is this supposed to go on? For another year or 2, or is this indefinite? What are you looking
Well,
at?
through the campaign, we have goals for 2020.
Okay.
So right now, that's our basically a 5-year
The target.
horizon. Now, we're not going to stop in 2020, but it's a good, you know what, we've got aggressive targets. This is where we're trying to achieve. So we're we got our sights set high,
wonderful.
and we're looking at 2020, and we'll assess, okay, what really worked? What does the next 5 years look like on how we address this?
Well, we want to come back too, and it doesn't have to be in 5 years, but we want to come back and see where you've headed and what has developed and how you have actually organically then grown out. And I love this template because what you've done is you've pulled in different parts and said, okay, here are community foundations, here are other organizations, the school district, the parents, the community, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Girls Inc. And as a community, we want to address this. And so what are the strengths that each can bring, and how can we collectively make that impact, right? To change
absolutely.
this issue and really affect the young ones coming
Absolutely.
up and their parents. I love it. Well, I'm going to shift us into our Truth or Care segment, but thank you guys for coming on and talking about such an important initiative and thank you for sharing your geniuses towards it. It's wonderful. So Truth or Care is our trademark segment, as you know, which is what is your heart's definition of philanthropy? And I joke sometimes that the fickle finger of fate can pick, or you can choose who wants to go first. Who would like to share what their heart's definition of philanthropy is? Why do you do what you do?
I'll go first. For me, I believe that each of us is born with gifts and talents, and it's taking those gifts to make everything around you better.
I like it. It's almost like a rainbow couldn't be a rainbow without your color.
There you go.
I love that. Thanks, Beth. You want to go, Roxie?
Sure. I have learned that when people experience giving of their time, their talent, their treasure, and really rooted in their values, and they begin to experience the joy of really giving back in some way, but you start to appreciate that person's life. I had an impact in some way, that it's a little bit better. Getting at somewhat what Beth was saying. So I'm so blessed to do what I do because I get to see it in so many ways. From people, yes, writing big checks, but really with a focus on this is the results I want to achieve, to going to Girls Inc. and watching a little girl just beam because of what she's learning. So you think of somebody that maybe wrote the check. I'm sitting there watching it in action,
Yeah.
and that
Right.
life is better at the
That's
end of the
cool.
day because of that. And seeing the volunteers that are there,
Mhm.
that is so meaningful for them. So just really appreciating the multitude of ways that people can give back. But at the end of the day, a life is a little bit better.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And seeing how you're threaded through humanity.
Oh.
It's like everybody's connected, and you get to see
We're,
it. You get to see.
we're all connected, and it's
Yeah.
all about people at the end of the day. So the humanness of this is what really is exciting for me. I'm very hands-on, so you'll see me out at all of our programs, and I'm down sitting on the ground talking to the kids, because when you see the magic of what it's like for them to really have moved forward, and you've talked to somebody who wants to do this in an expandable, all the big words, but you're really seeing a smart way that it's happening. That's so rewarding.
Oh, that's cool.
And giving other people the opportunity to experience that.
Well, thank you for being in charge of moving that needle forward. in the community.
I'm lucky I have a great
Appreciate
board
that.
and team.
Yes.
It's not me.
Absolutely.
It's a team.
But thank you for what you do, Roxie.
It's a team.
Mary, what is your heart's definition of philanthropy?
So I think I'm a little bit closer on the ground, working with the kids. I grew up in inner city Philadelphia on welfare and the projects, and so for me, my trajectory in life was changed because of a book. So because I started reading, became a reader, I was able to then move my life forward and change my life. And then that put me in a position of responsibility to help impact and give back to others. So I think when I look at the girls, every single girl counts, every mother counts, every father counts. And I'm so excited to be in a position to be a part of their journey.
I just think of potential and empowerment when she shares that. Isn't that cool? You remember your own potential, and you remember what changed that from potential to actual true empowerment and the ability to do.
Yes, exactly.
You're a light switch, Mary. You switch without doing. That's awesome.
But I had people and organizations, and I had people behind me. I wasn't an island for sure. So
And we all do.
that's the whole piece here, is that we're all working together for that one child and
Love it.
her whole journey.
Well, thank you, all three, for coming on and being guests on the Philanthropy Show today. Thank you for doing what you're doing with the Suncoast Campaign. Yes, and everybody who's on the campaign with you that's not here. We're going to have a list of them in the credits at the end of the show so that we can show everybody. But love this show, love being able to talk to folks like you and tell the world and the nation and the global about what's going on for the betterment of humankind. So keep up with the Philanthropy Show. Join us again next Monday at 4 for a brand new show. In the meantime, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Do you have an idea for the Philanthropy Show? Contact us via our website or email us at tps@myvideovoice.com.